So update Saturday, May 11th at just about 7:45 p.m. So Kristen had a pretty good day today. She was pretty bright yesterday. This morning, feeling a little bit less great. I think a couple big things. She was feeling quite nauseous. She still has a tube in her nose that goes down to her stomach that they were giving her some tube feeds as well as her medications through if she wasn't feeling up to swallowing. But her stomach was just kind of getting really big and she was just feeling really full. So they hooked that up to suction and have actually been just kind of sucking out her stomach contents to help decompress her stomach, which helps with the nausea quite a bit. She had one of her drains pulled out she has two drains in the side of her abdomen. She had one of her drains pulled out because it wasn't putting anything out, but they think it might have been clogged. So when they pulled it out, some of the drain liquid came out, which will help her feel a bit better. She's still having quite a bit of discomfort, which I think is understandable. We chatted with about 3-4 doctors today. So the vascular team, the infectious disease team, the transplant team, and the hemo team. So lots of updates on the weekend. She's gonna get hemo again tomorrow, so another round of hemodialysis tomorrow. They did send the graft, so the piece of artery that they cut out, they did send that to be cultured, and they did find that it grew some yeast. So there was that the bleed was caused by a bit of infection eroding away at the patch. So that tells us why, which I think is really helpful. She's on some antimicrobials. She's been on antibiotics this whole time, but they put her on some antifungals, so that will really help. They've been upping her pain medication, and she still has the PCA with fentanyl in it, so she has PO medications or oral medications that are longer acting, as well as she can just push a button to get IV medications as she needs it. She finds that the fentanyl, what's in that, the button she's pushing, doesn't make her as nauseated as something like hydromorphone, which can definitely happen. The only other thing is we did get the result of the Doppler in her leg. So she had, they had to go into her leg to get a piece of vein for her original repair after the nephrectomy. And so they went in there and she does have a bit of a clot in there, something called a deep vein thrombosis or a DVT. It's not occlusive, which means it's not actually blocking the vein, it's just in there. So they're not super worried about it. They've put her on some heparin. There was some discussion about whether they should put in a filter, so it kind of looks like a badminton birdie, and they put that in your tiny and they put that in one of your veins so that if that clot dislodged, it would get caught. But it's a very temporary, they put it in, they take it out, and I really think they don't want to put anything more in her if they don't have to, so they're just going to start her on heparin. Her hemoglobin has been climbing, so it was 70 yesterday and 79 today, so we know she is like no longer bleeding because her hemoglobin's actually going up. And she responded well to the dialysis from yesterday. Did I forget anything?
No, you pretty much covered everything. They did remove 2 liters of fluid from her stomach today.
Yeah.
She's still not eating anything, so they're still trying to tube feed her. But without her moving around, it's just nothing's going through her system right now. She's not digesting anything.
So it's pretty common after she's had 4 surgeries now, without moving, to have what's called delayed gastric emptying. So she'll drink some water, she'll do that, and it just won't exit her stomach very quickly, or as quickly as we'd expect. So when she drinks and drinks and drinks and it's not emptying as quick, her stomach just gets fuller and fuller, and then she starts to feel sick. So, yeah. Any other questions, Bryn?
I did have one, but I can't remember what it is, so I don't think it's that important then.
I think what we should mention in these videos is if anybody actually does have any questions, feel free to Facebook any of us.
Or just put them in the comments.
Or text, or put them in the comments, because it's like, this is so new for a lot of us that we're all learning what's going on, and I would love to ask the doctors more questions. The team here has been pretty awesome, but yeah, if anybody does have any questions anytime, just reach out to us.
And I can do like a Q&A session if we get 3 or 4 questions. We can film a short little video where I can answer the best I can.
So I did remember my question.
Okay.
When do you think the feeding tube will actually come out?
So I think ideally they were thinking maybe tomorrow. If she's not really tolerating food, I think it's really important. She's been in there for almost a month and a half. The feeding tube has a dual use, right? So it can put food in, medication in, but it also can suck it out when she starts to feel unwell. So ideally they'd like to get it out, but she's not really tolerating oral food yet. And so I think they'd probably keep her on some intermittent feeds because she does need those calories.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, if she had not had to have her stomach drained this morning, I think she probably would have had the feeding tube out tomorrow. But I think we might be looking at maybe Tuesday or Wednesday.
Awesome. Is that all?
Did-
Perfect. Thank
Okay.
you.